We got Zuber in the building. What's going on, Zuber?
How you doing, Adrian?
I'm good. Too bad we don't have the little like button here to give the dog some treats.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. I love that. I had it on and my wife was like, wait, is that like for the likes on
Yeah.
for treats? I go, dog had 270.
He's gonna be fat. We're gonna chase that up to make it toys instead.
I love it, dude. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, gotta have some fun.
Yes, absolutely. Good icebreaker to the beginning of the call too. Like, people are expecting something serious and
Yeah, we're talking about dogs and treats, and yeah, it's fun. We just have a good time.
Hey, do you use vidIQ at all?
Nope, not yet. Should I?
Yes.
Okay. vidIQ.
vidIQ, yeah.
Okay.
What is vidIQ?
So it's SEO for YouTube videos. So it pretty much once you post your video, it'll tell you where it's ranked based on the keywords in your video. And then it will tell you what keywords to add to your title. Like Zuber's titles are already phenomenal, right? But it'll tell you like, hey, this is ranked 60 out of 100. Use this keyword. Cool. Or in the description, it'll tell you use certain keywords. What I really love is the hashtags. It'll tell you which hashtag you use based on your audience, and then it will rank you, and it will tell you based on which hashtag or based on which tag, right? Like let's say I put in how to buy my first rental. Right. It will tell you what number you're ranked based on that. How do I buy my first rental?
Got it.
It's awesome. It's amazing. It's a great system.
Cool. I will ask my guys about that. Thank you. Doing it right now.
Love it.
Welcome to the call, Elizabeth. Welcome to the call, Tino. Welcome to the call, Marlon. Good to see everybody. Welcome to the call, Robert, Naomi, Aaron, Joe. Little heartbreak, Joe. Did you go last night?
No, I had to sell my ticket. Yeah, long story, but
oh, good. Well, you got to stay home and get your heart broke. That's
horrible game, dude. I'm kind of glad I didn't go. That was a slap in the face, dude.
All good.
But I'm going in December. My daughter bought me tickets for my birthday. Broncos and Raiders, dude. Vegas.
Nice. Enjoy. That'll be epic.
That's awesome.
There you go. I love it. Welcome to the call, KP, Zach.
Yeah.
Irene.
I was outside on my balcony with my binoculars yesterday. I was looking for Raider fans, but I couldn't find any.
All of a sudden, everybody wants to jump in and
I'm just kidding.
That's awesome.
I'm just joking. I have no room to talk.
Hard.
I don't even understand what's going on the field, so I have no room to talk. I'm joking.
Don't feel bad, Joe, because now we have people down in San Diego that are they're bringing their jerseys back out. Like they weren't wearing those things last year, dude. Now they're all wearing them again.
They're half burned and ripped, and
yeah, they're back out.
Yeah, dude, they're everywhere now. All of a sudden,
I had a feeling when the Chargers logo is a lightning bolt, and we're going to talk about real estate here in a minute, but the Chargers lightning bolt, right, it's a logo is a lightning bolt. And then all of a sudden they're saying thunder and lightning in Southern California, and it's raining in Southern California. And I'm like, what? Like, we got a lot of SoCal people, right? You guys are like, it's raining, thunder and lightning. It's raining in San Diego. Like it's raining in LA, like super crazy. So
that was an omen, dude. We were done after that delay.
Yeah, I love it. So let's get into the call. We obviously have our good friend, Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you today, Michael?
I'm doing great. How you doing? How you guys doing?
Doing awesome.
I'm excited and full of energy. Let's go.
Love it. I'm going to actually let Adrian, I'm going to let you lead it off. And today what we're going to talk about specifically is how to buy your first rental or how to buy your next rental. And who better than, a part of our family here, Mr. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. So Adrian, why don't you take us away with some questions and tee up Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, guys, how many of you, by a show of hands, and those of you in witness protection, please, please get out of witness protection, because I want to see your guys. I want to see you, first of all. I want to see you. And I also want to see your hands right now, because I'm curious to know how many of you guys really have the intention to buy some sort of real estate between now and the time you die, by a show of hands. By a show of hands. Okay, cool. All right, cool. You notice I didn't say next year, right? Because I don't want to put too much pressure, but I want to know that we at least all have the intention to buy some sort of real estate, right? Or else, why are we doing what we're doing? We all see, I think wholesalers are probably one of the worst, right? Where they start making all this money, and what do they go buy, ladies and gentlemen? Do they go buy a bunch of houses and rentals? No. They buy this. They're dipping. They got some leases, right? They got this like chain that they got, you know what I mean? Like really, really big. Like I'm just being real here, because most of the wholesalers and agents, we take our money and we never put it back into real estate. And you guys, this has taken me, mind you, I've been in the industry, it'll be 10 years next year. Been in the industry 9 years, and it took me 7 years to understand what Michael has been teaching. It took me 7 years to finally grasp this. So I really wanted to have we wanted to have the call today to answer, first and foremost, answer the basic questions that we all have about buying property. And then most importantly, put together a plan, each and every single one of us, so we can buy a property between now and the next 12 months. Not only that, I want you to think about something, and I'm just going off of ideas here, and then we'll spin it to Michael. But you guys all know what's going to happen with the taxes next year, right? You guys know what's going to happen to your taxes. Is anybody unaware of what's going to happen with the taxes next year? Okay, all right, cool. And maybe Michael, we can speak on that. But you guys, the only way for us to get around that is through depreciation. And the only way to have depreciation is you have to own property. So how many of you want to give half of your paycheck to Uncle Sam next year, by a show of hands? Anyone? We sure? Okay, cool. How many of you rather put that half of your paycheck into something that's going to bring you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in passive income a month, by a show of hands? Okay, so here's my question to Michael, and we'll get this started this way: is when somebody, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know anything about buying a rental. Where do I start?
Yeah. So the first thing I tell everyone to do, and it's step one of the course, Adrian and Ty, that you are both a part of, is you need to slow down to go fast. So let's break that down to what it means. Is lots of people that I talk of that have interest and motivation, they're like going 1,000 directions. They're chasing bunnies or butterflies or whatever your analogy is. You have to get much more focused. I call it a buy box. I'm sure it can go by lots of different names. But what I want you to do is I want you to set up a buy box, and I will give you a sample of my buy box way back in 2002 in a minute. But the idea is your buy box is, kind of both big enough and small enough, right? You don't want a buy box that's like 3 listings, and you don't want a buy box that's 300. I generally recommend having a buy box that's between 20 and 40 active listings. Why 20 or 40? Because most of the people I talk to aren't in the business. They have a full-time job. So I want them to dedicate 20 minutes a day to looking at this buy box and understanding what has changed day after day after day. It feels kind of monotonous. It kind of feels uncomfortable. It feels very repetitive until like day 18 or 28. And you're like, oh my God, this deal that just came on the market is different than everything else. It has more upside or different price points or whatever. So I'll give you the example of my buy box back in 2002. Keep in mind, I live in the Silicon Valley. I spent a year in the Silicon Valley. Nothing worked. I finally find Fresno, California, which is 2.5 hours away, a market I never lived in, a market where I knew no one. So Fresno is just too big. It's like 1 million people, or at least 1 million people now. It's like 650,000 in 2002, something like that. Still too big. I can't look at the entire real. And again, remember, I'm not an agent. So I'm going to realtor.com or Redfin or Zillow or whatever, right? I don't have MLS access. Anyways, there's too many for me to look at. It would take me an hour and a half to go through them and I would learn nothing, because the Mayfair is different than the Tower. That's different than Old Fig. You know, your city, your whole city has different places. Prices are different. Rents are different. Tenants are different. All that, right? So the first thing I have to do in 2002 is I have to find kind of the middle of the road. I wanted to find where, families lived, right? Middle of, average incomes where they lived. I wanted about 60-40 owner occ versus rentals. I didn't want all rentals. I didn't want, all owners. I simply wanted middle of the road. So for me at the time in 2002, it was a part of the city called the Mayfair. It is a specific zip code 93703. That is step one of my buy box. But that buy box is still too big. I don't remember what it was, but it was probably 280, 300 listings of all of Fresno, this one zip code. Okay, still too big. So then I say single family. Why single family? Quite simply, that's all I ever lived in. It's all I knew. I didn't know condos. I didn't know duplexes. I didn't know apartments. I didn't know mobile home parks. I didn't know. So single family homes. So that takes me from, 300 to 200. Still too big. So then I go, okay, great. I've only lived in a 3-bedroom, but I'll look at 4 bedrooms as well. And I want 2 baths. All right, now we're getting close. Now there's like 100 listings, right? Because you're going to miss the small ones built in the 50s. You're going to miss the really big ones. But still, it's too big. So then finally, on my buy box, I have to give a size. So I end up doing something like 1,250 square feet to 1,750 square feet. Then bingo, like 41 listings show up. So that after, some time, that became the search criteria I hit. And I'm a creature of habit. I hit that same search criteria for almost 3 years and looked at nothing else. Nothing else hit my radar because, again, the Mayfair is very different, right? If I took my knowledge and experience from Mayfair to the Old Fig or Clovis or the Lowell district, it wouldn't translate. It wasn't until I was many years in the business and had the time that I could expand my search criteria. So step number one for anybody that's interested in getting into real estate investing is slow down, get focused, and get daily discipline. That's step one.
Huge. And most of you guys, we can do this. What I love is that Michael didn't do this with the MLS. You don't have access to the MLS. Maybe now, someone's giving him access, but back then he didn't have access, right? We all have, you guys know your little box when you go onto your MLS where it says new listings, new pendings, new close. You can set that up as your buy box, right? Instead of setting it up for all your other investors, set it up for yourself. And it's just an easy way to get that done. So, okay, I go in, I set up my buy box. I know I have my parameters. I have an idea of where I'm buying. Then what do I do?
So the next thing you need to do is you need to start building that daily discipline. So what I want you to do, and again, I'm an Excel guy. So if you want to do it in a notebook or Word or any other medium, go ahead. But this is what I'm looking for. I need you to take the things out of that search criteria and then note them down, because if you're doing this daily, it will change. So today there's 17 listings. The first time you do it, it takes time, right? You move over all 17 listings, whatever variables you deem are important. Then, tomorrow, oh, this one's gone. Write a date. It's off market, which means it went pending, right? You guys know this probably, or it closed. Oh, this one had a price drop. Write down the date, because you're trying to figure out where the ebb and flow is in your market. Then what you do is you need to start building out the other side, right? That's one side of the equation, kind of what would become the purchase price. Then you need to start filling out the monthly expenses. You need to start networking with property managers. You need to start networking with insurance and brokers. Okay, what is likely insurance on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this area that costs $400,000? What is my property taxes likely to be? And again, you don't have to be precise. Don't get it down to the penny. Don't even get it down to get it around $100 is good enough in the beginning. Because what you need to start doing is you need to start understanding as a buy and hold investor, what is the yield of this investment? Because that is what step 1, 2, and 3 of my course is all about, is getting you to a yield. Because what I want you to answer, and it takes between 60 and 90 days for the average person. It certainly could be faster for a real estate agent because you have dedicated time and not this 60-hour day job in your way. But what you want to do is go, my average in my buy box is 6.5%. So that's what I figured out in Fresno, that buy box I described before, back in 2003 now, because it's been a while, right? I figured out that average is 6.5%. So I don't like average. I think average sucks. I only want to do good or great. So if I figure out average is 6.5, I will only do deals north of 7.5, right? Good is 7.5, 9 is great, whatever it is for you. So that's what I did. So that's what you do is the daily discipline is you transition what you're looking, because I learned that way, right? Some people are visual. I learned by putting in Excel. Oh, here's the address. Here's the date. It's 1,612 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. And then I put notes, ugly color, busy street, right? Whatever else you want. Because as you do this, and the list will get long, right? Because you're going to be doing it 30, 45, 60 days in a row. And then you could start sorting it by different variables. It becomes your baby, right? This is your buy box. It's the evolution of your buy box. It's valuable, but it's repetition and consistency.
That's big. Does anyone have any questions in depth about what Michael just said? How to do it, how to set it up. You guys all going to go create your own buy box. You guys, I want to make sure that we're not just listening here, that we're really taking things, writing them down, tangible information that we can go and implement. So if there's something you didn't understand from what Michael said, please ask it now.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I think I'd say main thing would be the Excel spreadsheet and how that would look. And that's just daunting to me. And it always is. I was just talking about just tracking numbers the other day. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the biggest thing for me is just actually, having a system that I've, I actually implement and utilize.
So good news is Adrian and Ty have this in the course. It's there. But can I share my screen? Do I have? Oh, can you? I don't know who the host is. Ty, Adrian, are you guys the host?
Yeah, I'll co-host. Make you co-host right now, Michael.
What I want to do is just share it because I give everything away because Ty and Adrian are just like that. Let's see. Do I have it?
Yep.
Okay,
you should be able to share.
All right. So this is a very simple version of what's in the course. Let me make this window go away so I can't see anybody, but you can see this. Yes. Can you guys see it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is a version that's in the course. For example, again, this is my spreadsheet. Let me be very clear. Your spreadsheet does not have to look like mine, but it should have at least these variables. So I break this spreadsheet into 3 sections and they're separated by color. So column A, just put it, for me, it's always the street name, but for a new investor, it's probably the full address. Put in whatever you want. Here, I was just doing this with a lender. So this is just their terms, but it's 123 Main Street, whatever it is, right? Then it's property type for me, single family home. It could be a duplex, could be fourplex, whatever you want. I'm just going through this. Now, price. In the beginning, I want you to put just whatever the list price is. When you really start to get good with this, and it's probably day 45 or day 60, what you will ultimately do is you will put in a price, but then you will also put in your offer. Because what I am teaching you is you can offer different numbers and the yield will be different. And you see yield on this spreadsheet over there in purple on the far end. Then what I want you to do is whatever your down payment is, you should know, are you doing a 5% down loan, 20%, 25% paying cash, whatever it is, just put it here. This is a big one, repair cost. I usually call this make ready. I must have changed this for someone. But basically, what is it going to cost me to fix this up? In the beginning, if it's turnkey, it's 0, right? Why am I doing that? 0. Maybe, maybe you're buying. So I usually do A, B, C. That's what I teach on the course. A is 0, B is, 10 to 12 grand. And, C is a full gut. In the beginning, you're going to have no idea what a full gut is and a mom and pop, whatever, but just start with round numbers. And as you gain experience and as your network grows, you will get better at this. Don't stress. For the first 30 days, flat out guess. Look at the pictures and go, nope, move-in ready. Nope, needs paint and carpet. Nope, full gut. Just guess. Then use closing costs. You can use a percentage of purchase price, whatever you're comfortable with, 1% of purchase, whatever. But the whole idea, step 1, and this is the denominator, right? The bottom number in what a yield calculation is how much cash do I have out of my pocket, out of my checking account, out of my savings account, out of my trading account? Do I have to to take this asset and make it performing. I'm going to stop there and see if there's any questions about the Excel sheet so far. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so in this case, as you're going along, I'm seeing, because I know if a property ends up selling, like you said, if it goes into escrow or something like that, is there a box for that, or just take it off the list?
Well, I've been doing this so long, I take it off the list. But in the beginning, what you would do, and again, I did, my spreadsheet in the beginning was probably 30 columns long. I would have a date, right? I would have date of change, or I think it was called date of change. And then I would say sold, back on market, pending, right? Just the statuses that you would see. But yes, in the beginning, when in doubt, include it.
Okay.
And as you go forward and you start to understand 60, 90 days, you can start delete columns. Oh, that means nothing. Oh, that means nothing. So in the beginning, if you see it, include it. And then over time, you will likely simplify.
Perfect.
Okay.
Michael, question too.
Yes. Hi.
Something that's commonly said and talked a lot about is people talk about, ROI, yield.
Mhm.
ROI and yield basically they're similar, the same, or different?
Well, people use ROI very differently. It's all in what's in the number, right? Sometimes people go return on investment. Sometimes they took cap rate. Again, you really can never tell a vernacular to how the math is. And I'll go through the math and yield in a minute. To me, the closest other term is cash on cash.
Cash on cash. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's step one. Step two is the numerator, or the top number of a yield calculation. So figure out your mortgage payment. Step one, right, is often your biggest expense. There are lots of mortgage calculators out there. If you are an Excel wizard, there is a formula. Worst case, if you don't like Excel, pull out your phone, get a mortgage calculator and do the math yourself. Just type in the number. Okay. Taxes and insurance. For me, I'm in California. I just use 1.8%. And then I divide by 12. If you're in a different market, figure it out. If it's easier for you, you could put tax in one column and insurance in another. In the beginning, I probably would. Again, I tried to simplify this onto one screen way back when I built this. Next up, property management. Some people self-manage, put a 0. Some people pay property managers. I calculate mine at 7%. I have a big portfolio. Some of you have to do it at 10%. So make it 10%, right? And that'll be 10% of rent, which you'll see over here. Then include reserves. Even though you've done all the capital improvements, remember, make ready over here, you still should have reserves, bad debt, vacancies, other things. For houses, maybe it's 100. For apartments, it's maybe something else. But in the end, we are going to calculate your total month expense. Then you calculate your rent. Again, remember, as we talked about, step 2 or 3 of the course, start building out the other numbers. What can this rent for? All of that. Let's see. Let's put this one at 1,100. Right? What's it going to rent for? And then it does math. It takes rent minus expenses. That's your cash flow. You times that by 12. And now you have your magic calculation. You have this number here. Let me see if I can make this a color so everybody can see where I'm at. So we'll make this, I don't know, we'll make it green. What the heck? We're taking this number and we're dividing it by this number, and we'll make this color yellow. And that equals this purple number here. So again, right, you're going to do this and your list is going to get long, 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 long. And then suddenly you're going to start to see, okay, the average deal in my market is 8%. I'm just making this up because I have 3 numbers on the board. And, let's just do this. So let's say this is 1,000. So if your average deal is 8, 5% would be a bad deal. And 10% might be a good deal, or it might be a great deal, depending on your market. But this is what I'm trying to do. All the and why I said cash on cash, Ty, because this is all the cash that comes out of your account. And this is the cash that goes into your account. It doesn't include mortgage pay down. It doesn't include appreciation. It doesn't include depreciation. It's just, hey, my account went down this and it goes up this. How hard? My question is, how hard is my money working? That's what yield is. I turn every asset into a bond, and that's what I do. So that's a big part of my course, step 1 and step 2, how to get started one rental at a time.
Brilliant. I love it. Ali?
Yeah. So Thanks for that, Michael. And
Mhm.
when you have, do you have a spreadsheet on all the money you're saving for potential repairs? Do you keep all those on one spreadsheet? Like, do you have separate accounts that you keep for repairs and things of that sort?
So I have an account with, I don't know, I call it emergency account that would pay for them, right? I have a pretty big operating budget every month, and it pays for running the show, and I get the net. But there are emergencies, right? I had a roof go out in an apartment building, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and that was 28 grand. I didn't pay that out of the operating capital or the monthly income. I paid it out of my reserve account. So yeah.
Naomi?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So just for clarification, when you are tracking your properties, do you create a column each day saying, price didn't change, or you only
No.
have that column if something changed?
Yeah, if it stays on the market, I don't write anything, at least not for me. You could be different. Again, the spreadsheet should become yours. It should be a reflection on who Naomi is and what Naomi thinks important. If it stays the same day to day, I don't care. But maybe your market is so hot that you might, again, I'm just trying to play today, whether you could take this. For you, days on market at 14 might be interesting, right? If stuff typically goes pending in under 14 days, maybe important to you would be a column that says 14 days or older, yes or no, right? And they all start as no, but once they hit 14, you flip the flag yes, because in your market, maybe that's a price drop is interesting, or there's other problems, or it's stale. This is how you really make it yours, is what details are important. And because you are real estate agents, you have the ability and access to data. You can see what's going on like nobody else. And really, Naomi, make the spreadsheet yours.
Okay, so when do you delete a property? Is it when it's sold, or?
Well, for the first 60 or 90 days, I don't recommend deleting anything.
Okay.
Have a column that says sold. If you can, note the price, because about day 60 or day 90, I would be asking yourself, and you should be asking yourself, can you tell me what an average deal is? And if you can articulate it back to me, you have it. Then frankly, the spreadsheet can go away, except active listings, because that's where you buy from. You don't really buy stuff that's already sold. But until you can articulate to Adrian or Ty or to anybody else on this phone what average is, just let the sheet run. You can color code them if you want, like sold, just sort it at the bottom. But yeah, in the beginning, don't be in a rush to delete.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Great question. Stefan?
Yes. For the yield, it was the yearly divided by, or what was the exact formula?
Yearly cash flow
Uh-huh.
divided by out of pocket cash, right? Down payment, closing costs,
Cash
terminating
out of
rent.
pocket. I knew it was. I just wanted to make sure which one it was. Thank you so much.
Sure, of course.
I also want to I want to remind, and Elizabeth, you're next on a question, but something Michael was doing this off of realtor.com.
Yeah.
Right. So, saying this isn't like, we have a lot of insider stuff that we do, because most of us, I'd say the majority, everybody here, you have MLS access, right? So, Michael, you can do what Michael just described just off a Realtor or off a Zillow or off a Redfin. So
yeah, most of the people I teach, mentor over 20, almost 2,500 people now. Most of them don't have MLS access. And I can only imagine the spreadsheets that you all, and again, the average person learns their market about 60 to 75 days. You guys are in it. I think the challenge you have is you're going to want to outthink me. I tell you a buy box and I tell you how to do it. And you're going to go, no, I'm special. I can do 2 at a time or 3 at a time. No, you can't. You are going to create negative leverage. Don't do it. I don't care how much time you have. In the beginning, until you can tell me what average is, you do not have permission to have more than one buy box. Suck it up. Do something else. Go to the gym. Spend time with your kids. I don't care, but stop looking at a second buy box.
It's so good. With everything. That's good. Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Pleasure having you again.
Mhm.
Quick question. I guess my biggest thing is that what you just said. How do I determine one buy box? Do I do it based on what I have funds to put down payment? How do I do it? Because I know I see people, especially even on your feed on Facebook, on the group, people, Northern Colorado, like I said, Fresno. I see people, Idaho. I mean, I know you see Idaho in the bubble, but I mean, I'm just naming.
Yeah. They're all over.
Where the hell do I start? Because I know Southern California is so pricey.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find where my buy box.
So this is probably the best question anybody can ever ask me. So I'm going to try to walk through this and let me know if it makes sense. I believe real estate investing is a skill. The closest analogy I have is a golf swing. If any of you have, I don't know, can you raise your, has anybody here played golf or at least tried to pick up a club? Okay. So I didn't pick up a golf club until I was 20 years old. It was the rich man's game and I was broke as hell. I didn't get it. So I picked it up at 20 years old, played a decade of baseball, and swinging a golf club is the most unnatural thing I've ever done. I almost hurt myself. I'm like, who the hell does this for fun? This is pain. I went home and my back was sore. My hands were sore. It's just the first time you pick up a club, it is so crazy. However, if you go back to the driving range and do it day after day after day after day, just by repetition, you get better, right? You start making contact, you start grounding the club, you start skill, whatever it's called, you start to figure it out. And then you go get coaching and you start tying things together. At least that's how I did. So what I am trying to teach you, Elizabeth, is the skill of learning real estate. I am not trying to, it's great if that skill leads to a deal in the first 90 days, it's awesome, but that is not what I am teaching. What I am trying to teach you is the skill of learning a market, the skill of learning your buy box. So in the beginning, generally speaking, most people would be best learning their buy box very close to their home. The fact that I learned my buy box in Fresno is nuts. It meant I drove to Fresno 3 weekends a month for like 6 months. That's a lot of driving. Thank God I had a company car, or else I wouldn't know what would happen. Very expensive. But if I had to do it again, I would learn in my backyard. I would go to open houses. I would see it. I would touch it. I would have a contractor meet me there, right? Because again, you're trying to get this spreadsheet and you're trying to get to a point that says the average deal in my market is 6%. Or maybe you're in San Diego, and I've had people in San Diego and they tell me an average deal is 1.5%. Once you know average, you can actually call yourself a good real estate investor. And now you have proven you could learn a market. So let's say you're doing San Diego, but you have no intention of investing in San Diego. I don't care. Pick a market in San Diego, the gas lamp district, whatever it is, learn it. 60 days, 75 days later, you know that market. A 3-bedroom is average is this is good or great. Awesome. Now you can take that skill set anywhere and repeat it, right? You'll know what works and doesn't. Trying to learn a market in Boise or Austin, Texas, or Cleveland from Southern California, there are so many extra risks and so many other things that you would miss because you're not there. Because you're learning your buy box. I want you to go kick rocks. I want you to go to the open houses. I want you to have a friend meet a contractor there. I want other experienced investors to walk through and say, hey, I think this is, remember my ABC, turnkey, light rehab, full gut. Have other people go through. And that's best done with something you could drive to. So the answer, Elizabeth, is pick a buy box you can drive to pretty easily, 30 minutes from home. It doesn't have to be the market you have intention investing in, but I want you to learn a market, touch it, feel it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That just made it clear for me. Now I know where to start.
Perfect. Of course.
I want to get more questions going, but I also want to interject here that something also is a bonus, because we've got a lot of people have access to MLS, a lot of realtors. One of the things is that you'll also begin to see patterns.
Yes.
After 60 or 90 days, I believe in the market we've been in currently, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of stuff fall out of escrow, back on market, that, sometimes you're going to see stuff, it's a fixer, it's a dog, It should not have sold with multiple offers, but somebody's trying to do a FHA finance deal on a property that's probably going to get conditioned to death, right? And the deal's going to ultimately blow up in 30 or 45 days and fall out of escrow. And then now it's ripe for somebody to buy it as a rental or as investment. Michael, do you see that pattern, or do you see things like that, or tell us a little bit more about that?
You're going to start. I mean, when you do this, I don't know when it'll happen for you, but you will know that buy box better than 99.9% of people out there. You'll know when stuff comes on. When it happens, it's an amazing feeling. You'll get an alert on your phone, or you'll be in front of your computer with coffee like I am when I look. And when you see a deal that's like, that's better than anything I've seen in a month or 45 days, it's an empowering feeling. And then, yes, you will see patterns. You'll see stuff go and come back in 2 weeks. You'll see stuff go and come back in 45 days, probably an FHA buy. You'll just start to know the story. And then the last thing I will say is when the market changes, if it really changes and slows down, I got most of my deals by being in backup position. And when I have a deal that I like, I follow up every 2 weeks until it closes. I do not want that property going back on the market for open bidding. I want to call the listing agent and say, hey, it's still going. How's it going? I'm really interested. Here's my number. Click here. Hey, how's it going? Here, click. And then, oh yeah, you know what? It's getting kind of sticky. Let's write up a backup offer and let's go. Because the seller doesn't want it to go back on. So again, don't forget follow-up is key, but that's kind of a step 2. Let's learn a buy box first.
So good. Any other questions about the buy box spreadsheet creating? I also want to throw the thought out for you real estate agents. How much of a better agent would you be knowing these numbers? Like, how much more value would you be able to provide to the consumer as an agent knowing this information? But this, I know if I was going to a listing appointment and I drop this down, it's game over.
Yeah.
It's game over. So huge. Any other questions? Nick, I don't know if you had a question or not. I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just curious, Michael, when using Rent-A-Meter to kind of value the actual rent for that specific area, how accurate is that? And do you do prior research through MLS or as you would, prior to making sure you get the right rental price?
So in the beginning, again, remember, this is kind of evolution. Go ahead and use Rent-A-Meter if you would like. As you move along, you will be speaking with property managers and the like to see and verify. Interestingly enough, Rent-A-Meter was great for years. It sucks today. It is 60 days behind. Rents are exploding higher. And unless you are in the market and own lots of rentals, you would not know that. I have had stuff that Rent-A-Meter said was $1,350 and I got $1,800, for example. Rent-A-Meter's behind. The market is just bananas today for single family rentals. But I would use Rent-A-Meter in the beginning. I wouldn't sweat it right in the beginning, the first 60, 90 days. It's just another variable. You will learn, you will validate, you will network. The other thing to remember about this game is you're never done networking, right? If you're an investor tells me they have the agent, I'm like, great, I got 100 of them. Who's going to win, right? You have the contractor. Great, I've got 30 of them. Who's going to win? Never stop networking.
Thank you so much.
Great question. Naomi?
Yeah, so you mentioned that you were going, well, I have 3 questions sort of. Sorry. So you mentioned that you would go out 3 weekends out of the month to Fresno. What were you doing out there? Were you trying to scope out the scene, trying to figure out, was it Mayfair, the area?
Yeah, Mayfair. Yeah.
And then also what's kind of a minimum population you look at for a city?
Yeah, so those are good questions. So I may miss them, but so minimum population for me is I wanted a city over 100,000. I didn't want a town, right? But for example, one of the best cities I like to invest today is Madera, which if you know this, like Madera is like 25 minutes from Fresno. It's close enough, right? So I consider Madera Fresno, but I market in Madera, for example, but I didn't do that in the beginning. But I don't mind satellites. I just don't want like a town of 10,000 with one employer and you're like an hour and a half from anybody else. That's too small for me. So in the beginning, it was 100,000 people. I think that was question 3. And so what I was doing in the beginning is, you got to remember, I was choosing to put my entire net worth in future in a market that I'd never been in and never lived in. So what I would do every week is I would find interesting listings, even if they weren't, because again, remember, I didn't have access. I just found interesting properties that had price points. They could have been pending. They could have been this. They could have been that. I just wanted to drive them. Because remember, I'm trying to learn 3 or 4 bedrooms between 12 and 1,700 square feet. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out corner lots, single stories. So I guess a lot of people today would call it driving for dollars. I was just I'd have a list of 8 to 10 properties. I'd use one of those apps to go, what's the most efficient route? And I would hit them. And I would take the time to stop occasionally if we saw something else. But I was trying to learn a market that was 2.5 hours away by driving it. Again, that's why I tell you, it's a lot easier to do it close to home than, getting on an airplane and going somewhere else. And I think there was a third question that I totally forgot.
Yeah, is that kind of how you figured out what specifically, like that it was Mayfair, is just going there and driving around?
Well, how I figured out Mayfair was different. I probably asked 10 or 15 people, where's middle class Fresno? And there, I got like 30 different answers, but 18 of them were, Mayfair. I think I asked, what are the top 3 areas for middle class? And everybody gave me their list, but the Mayfair was on everybody's list. So I just chose the Mayfair.
Okay, thank you.
Follow-up question on that, Michael. So talking about neighborhoods and such, and I think everybody understands everybody here knows A's, B's, C's, D's. Would you invest, or then F, right, as a war zone, something like that? I mean, would you buy in? What's your minimum standard? Would you buy in a D+ neighborhood that was trending towards C, or what are your thoughts there on neighborhoods?
So in the beginning, and by beginning, first 15 years, right? I've been doing this 20 now. 15 years, I had this following criteria as a hard no. Would I let Olivia roll through in her very nice car by herself at night and go to the property? And if the answer is hell no, I didn't care what the numbers were. Now, keep in mind, I had a property manager, but I just didn't want to own that stuff. If the neighborhood got iffy at night, and that's when most of them get iffy, I didn't want to own there. I just didn't want the risk for 15 years. And now I'm, I got a big portfolio. I can take 1 or 2 risks. I talk with my property manager first to make, validate I get, I have a little more risk appetite, but man, for those first 15 years, I had there was probably, I don't know, for the first 5 years, probably 40% of Fresno I wouldn't look at. Some of that was because some of it's because I just didn't know enough about what I was focused on. By 10 years, there's probably 10% of Fresno that was just like a no today. Today, I look pretty much everywhere.
Love it. Love it. Let's get some more questions from the audience, from the group, please. More questions for Michael.
Hey, a quick question here. We had a call this morning and there was some talk of, we were just talking about money, right? And I haven't heard anybody else bring it up, so I'm just going to toss it out there. So someone was talking about, or asking about, what's a good amount of liquidity to have before you jump into the game, or versus maybe using hard money to jump in the game. What are your thoughts on that sort of thing?
Well, first and foremost, you should never put your family at risk by doing this. So I think every family needs an emergency reserve, and you should figure out what that is for your family and your expenses. It's got to be at least 6 months. For some people nowadays, given what we've just been through, it's 9 months. And that's money I don't touch ever unless bad stuff happens. So that's an answer. I chose to, for the first 5 or 6 years, I chose to make sure I had the down payment before I got in. I didn't want to do 100% financing. I did do 90% financing. I was fairly leveraged. I was investing in 03, 04, 05 when you could get those loans really easy, the 80, 10, 10s. Today, you're going to put 20% down if you want to get in the game, and maybe 25, depending on where you're at. So yeah, I don't like people that preach BRRRR. The people that preach BRRRR as the way to get going because you have no money is it's disingenuous. It's technically true, but it is an advanced strategy that's going to lead to financial ruin for most people who try it, because you don't know the market. You don't know repairs. You don't know that a appraisal for a refi is different than a purchase. So your ARV number is wrong. You're just going to lose money, or worse yet, lose somebody else's money. So I hate people who prey on naive people that say, don't worry, you can build a real estate portfolio with none of your own money. I don't like that. So I don't know if I answered the question or not, but
even in the sub 2 and seller finance, it's still money out of your pocket, right? You know,
yeah, a lot of times you got to true up, you got to catch up on the mortgage payment. You've got to, you've probably got to do clean out, or you have to pay the person to move, cash for keys. There's money involved, right? I love sub 2. I think sub 2 might be the biggest strategy in 2022 or 2023 when the next recession comes. But it's not, you can't just go borrow. I think a strategy where it's all borrowed money is a house of cards that works really, really well in an appreciating market, but it blows up when it slows down, and heaven forbid it rolls over.
Yeah, it's big. Nick?
I was just gonna get your take on cash flow properties versus appreciation properties, like buying in the Midwest versus buying out here on the West Side.
First off, I never count appreciation. It happens. It's nice. As you can see in my spreadsheet, there was not one column about appreciation. I know it happens. It's happened to me. It's why I'm as rich as I am, is because of appreciation, but I don't count it. It is only cash flow. However, I think you can go broke buying cheap. I have talked to many people. I have 1,000 interviews on my channel that went to the Midwest because it was cheap. You can go broke buying cheap. I have bought in California and only in California my entire life. And some people think I'm crazy. It's kind of worked out for me.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when that appreciation hit, worked out very well.
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah. Again, people don't really realize this. So I bought a house, Norris Drive. It's in my book. You have access to Zillow and Realtor. You can look it up. It's 1818 Norris Drive East 93703. I buy it for 107, sell it for 264, 1031 into apartment. That house, after a cash out refi, let me buy 2 more. Long story short, that first 20 grand became 21 units, $500,000 in net worth, and 100 grand cash. Time in the market is better than timing the market.
So good. I love that. Time in the market is a lot better than timing the market. Oh, that's good. I love it. Yeah, and great question, Nick, because Nick and I have been going back and forth. We're like, do we buy multi-units in Ohio? So we've been having that conversation. So that was good. That's good. Any other questions for Michael in regards to this, in regards to the spreadsheet, in regards to maybe something that you guys were doing? You were looking at a rental. Aaron.
I got something, Michael, on the spreadsheet, pricing wise, when you're talking about yield at the end, is that if you get it for the price that it's listed for, or how are you determining that yield?
So in the beginning, you don't know any different. Again, remember, I'm teaching people that don't have access. So in the beginning, it's just list price.
Okay.
Once you get repetition, the beauty of my spreadsheet is you can start tweaking it to whatever your offer is, right? It's listed at 200. You don't like the yield, but so like when you get really good at this, you could say the minimum deal is 8%. A property comes on the market, it is only 6.5. Then you are supposed to go, what do I have to do to tweak the offer to make the yield 8%? Now, the easy one is lower the price. Sure. What if you got a seller carryback for 10%? So your down payment is left. You could still give the same price. There's all kinds of things you could do to adjust. You can get seller credits for repairs. All of these things that will become obvious once you are in the spreadsheet with repetition. But yeah, in the beginning, just use list price. Most people want to overthink the first 30 or 45 days. Just take what the market gives you. Then it becomes more advanced when you could tweak it to what you want to offer.
Perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Like
this might be a dumb question, but I mean, would raising rents be something that you would consider? I mean, to bank on? I know we're in an interesting time right now, but.
So it depends on what you mean raising rent. So if you're in a syndication or doing multifamily, a lot of those deals are being done today because they're giving you rent increases, 4%, 6% a year for the next 3 or 5 years. A lot of those syndication multifamily deals out there are going to blow up when the financing blows up. So no, I will take market rent. So like if you buying a house today and it's at $1,000, but market is 1,500, I want you to put market at 1,500. But I also want you to budget for how much am I going to have to repair this when tenant A leaves and tenant B moves in. I want it to be accurate to today. If rent's 15, I don't want you to presuppose 17. Folks, here's the deal. We are in an inflationary environment. Inflation will hit every single person on this phone and every single person that hits this video. You can either bitch about it or you can use it. I am choosing to use inflation, and part of using inflation is buying every appreciating asset that is indexed to inflation with fixed rate debt. I want to borrow conservatively. I'm going to borrow at 60. You may want to borrow at 75% LTV. I'm going to get 30-year money all day long. I know appreciation will happen and I know rent increases will happen. I will not put it in my spreadsheet, but I gave you a 50-year spreadsheet. It's actually in the course that shows you that in 1970, when we had a decade of inflation, that interest rates went up, which blows people away. Interest rates went up 270 basis points. Incomes went up 100% or 83%. Real estate went up 106 and rents went up 116. So who won the 70s? The only people that won the 70s are people who bought real estate in 1970 or 71 and held on with 30-year money. Their portfolios doubled and their cash flow went bananas. So that's what I'm doing. I am going to buy as much residential property with 30-year debt that I can right now.
So just quick follow-up. Are you focusing primarily on multifamilies right now? I know you've alluded to really focusing on families more so.
I look at everything, but commercial properties today don't have 30-year fixed rate money. Commercial properties, I own them. They have 3, 5, 7-year terms. I am afraid of what happens to interest rates in 2025 and 2026. If you can do the math, if interest rates go up 2 points, go from 3 to 6 or 3 to 5, that means cap rates have to go up 3%. And if you're buying a multifamily with a cap rate of 5 and suddenly cap rate's 8, where did values go? And oh, by the way, we have a year of great rents and then rents are flat for 4 years. No, thank you. I will only do 30-year money. Now, I have lots of relationships, so I can get 30-year money on apartments. Most people can't. So no, I'm not looking at multifamily all that hard.
Are those 30 years under your LLC?
They can be, yeah, because I get bank money, right? If you're doing your first 1 to 10, you'll probably have to do it in your name just because that's what Fannie and Freddie want. I haven't been able to use that for a decade, so I have a series of LLCs.
I love it. Nick?
Yeah. What if you were to dabble or invest on the commercial side and get high accredited tenants like CVS or NASA? Because I was listening to Manny Koshman, and that's kind of what he's been doing.
Yeah, I know Manny.
That you would kind of work with or kind of dabble with, or is that still like a risk factor?
Well, first off, the companies like CVS or Starbucks or any of those, they're going to sign 10-year leases with 10-year options. Go for it. But your yields are going to be pretty small.
Yeah, just it's interesting because I'm in a building now where the 10 years expired and Starbucks left.
It happens.
And so one of the things with a lot of these like bigger name, nationally credit rated commercial tenants, their rents are going to be a lot less. And they're basically like almost like the attraction, like
the anchor.
We're the anchor. You're going to have a Starbucks. You're not going to get a premium on rent there, but then the law firms and the bail bonds and the whatever paralegal services, they're going to pay a premium because to be in that nice building or the sandwich shop, things like that, you'll get a premium. So commercial is definitely, you can make a lot of money. And guess what? If you can make a lot of money, you can also
lose a lot of money. Right. So it's just one of those things that also too, I think with commercial stuff, you want to go on, if you are going to do commercial, go side by side with somebody who's really got a lot of experience
and be the junior partner, you know, put some money in a deal, but somebody who's really seasoned and knows the seasons of that market and of that property. So anything, Michael, you would add to that?
No, I would tell you again, back to one kind of my earlier buy box. If you're buy box commercial and A-rated tenants, do the same thing. Look at it every day, figure out what average is. And if that's where you want to go, go. But don't, like I said earlier, don't have 5 buy boxes. Don't tell me you're going to do single family and you're going to be apartments and you're going to be the commercial guy. You're going to create negative leverage and go nowhere.
Thank you.
Of course.
Elizabeth?
Would duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes be a completely different buy box then? Because they're not commercial.
No.
They're still,
So yeah, I would. So for me, I would either do single family or units, and units could be duplexes, tris, or quads. So for me, it's single family by itself. That's what I chose. If you're going to choose units, which is a great buy box, it's 2, 3s, or 4s. And then if you're going to do commercial, it's 5 and above. So I see those as 3 different boxes.
got it.
Huge. We've been talking a lot about fun, pleasure stuff. I love that. Let's touch some pain points real fast. With the taxes changing next year, how can people, and you guys, this is really important for every single one of us, right? If you guys aren't too sure what's about to happen with taxes, they are changing drastically. How can rental properties shield you and help you keep the money that you're making?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things with real estate is something that's called a phantom expense or a non-cash expense, and it's called depreciation. Let's try to do some simple math, right? In my course, I have a CPA that breaks all of this stuff down so they can go through if you want it, it's in there. But basically speaking, with residential real estate, you get to write off 1/28th of the purchase. Now you get to X land and all of that thing. So for example, let's say the building was $280,000 after removing land, just for a simple example. You will get to depreciate the building 10 grand a year. Now, as far as the IRS is concerned, that $10,000 is an expense, which means you get to deduct it from or you get to add it as an expense to the building, but it is a non-cash expense. You don't actually write a check to somebody called depreciation and send it off. It's just something you get. So what that means is in this example, the first $10,000 of income or positive cash flow is shielded. And you know, for some of you, if the house isn't producing that much, you can actually shield other income because you are real estate professionals, right? So there's depreciation is a great thing. If you get really advanced, you can do accelerated depreciation and other things. That's why some people are getting snookered into apartments, because they're getting this big 1-year tax savings, not realizing they got into a bad deal. But yeah, depreciation is a non-cash expense. It is actually why I plan to sell nothing next year. I've done 58 flips in the last 3 years. And if my taxes go up, I will not sell a damn thing next year. I will buy and hold everything because I want my depreciation to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So good. I love it. I hope you guys wrote that down. It's big. I was at a flipping event on this past weekend, and that's all they talked about. That was all they talked about, was because we're hit so hard on capital gains and on our flips and wholesales. We have to find a way to shield ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And what a better way to do that than buying real estate?
Yeah, you got to hold everyone. If you're a flipper, a wholesaler, you should aim to hold 1 in 3 minimum, if not 1 out of 2.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So little side hack for you guys, prior to you getting rid of your deals, let's just say some of your wholesalers, or you get a deal that comes across your desk, make sure you underwrite that deal with the intention of, how can I buy this myself?
There you go.
Underwrite every deal with the first step of, how do I buy this myself? And then the second step being, okay, how do I offload this, right? If for some reason it doesn't fit that buy box, that criteria, right?
Of course.
You're still getting paid either way.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. Is there one more burning question? Ali, anyone else have a burning question? We're going to go to Ali.
Just a quick one. Oh, Ali, go ahead.
I just got a quick question regarding 1031 exchanges. I've heard in some of your prior videos, you talked about it, and it's just going to open up more opportunity for seller finance, potentially sub 2. I know you stated that if they do it, you're going to hold on to everything. So just wanted to see if maybe you could just touch on that. And
yeah, so there was a threat by the powers that be that 1031 stepped up basis, all of that is going away. The latest on that is they're not touching it. So 1031, again, it could all change, right? They're still not done with spending $3.5 trillion of our money, but right now they're not looking at the get rid of the 1031 exchange. So it looks like it will survive to another day.
Great to hear. KP?
Yeah, just a quick question as well. So do you ever buy properties with tenants in them and then use that to offset expenses while you're doing the fix ups and kind of forcing appreciation on things?
So I absolutely did that for 16, 17 years. I did not do that in 2020. It wasn't worth the risk, right? I didn't know where Gavin Newsom was going. So I did not, I didn't want to until some people were so desperate, they essentially gave me their properties. So I got just sweetheart deals, and I know attorneys because I have lots of them. So yeah, I did end up buying a few, but I didn't want them. I didn't want that headache, right? I already have enough. I didn't need to stress, but that's now over. So yeah, I will start buying with tenants again, because at least in California, if they haven't applied for assistance, they can just go through the normal eviction. So as of October 5th, now that could change with one signing of a document from Newsom, but as of right now, I'm back to looking at them.
So good. You guys, you were all great today. You asked a lot of questions, and I just want to seriously thank you guys for that. Great job. Great job.
I love it. I love it. I want to just jump in. So there's several of you who are ready, and you should really consider, in fact, not even consider, you should just go buy Michael's course. Yep. It's at one rental at a time. I mean, normally courses like this, you're going to pay $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 for a course. Michael, what do you sell the course for?
$299.
$299. Okay. So ridiculous, right? Yeah. So $10 a day, right? So there's several of you that should just go buy the course. Just go buy the course. And not only that, but don't just buy it, actually buy it and dig into it.
Yes,
and actually get into it,
yeah,
right?
Don't buy it just to say, hey, thanks for your time, Zuber. I don't need the money. Trust me. If you buy the course, you're signing up to do the work. Do the work.
Do the work. I love it. The other thing is that I want to promote, and we just really appreciate all the time you always give to us, Michael, and how much you share. So thank you so much. Tell them about the new book, because I think the new book, I'm excited to get it. It's right now, it's on pre-order. I want everybody to support the book. So please show the copy of the book.
Yeah.
And then talk about what's going on in the book.
So first and foremost, this is my original book. I wrote this book in all honesty for myself. I got to financial freedom. I left my day job, and I didn't remember how I got there. I wanted to go back and try to relive as many memories as I could. And it turns out it's been very well received. Over 10,000 copies, over 1,000 reviews. So thank you for everyone who supported me. If you have read it and haven't wrote a review, what's up? I give away time. So go spend 2 minutes writing a 5-star review. But that was this book. What I've been trying to figure out is how to have a second book that helps you. The first book was for me. The second book is for you. So what I did is I spent a year writing a book, and it doesn't have this. This is a little thing that Amazon puts it on for me, called 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. I spent about 30 days storyboarding all the amazing investors I've spoken with over the last couple of years, and they're all different walks of life. They're high school dropouts. They're single moms with 5 kids. They're people starting late, people starting early. They're just all different stories. And every story is unique. And what I'm hoping happens is you read it cover to cover, but you find 3 that speak to you. Why is that? When I was starting out and we had 2, 3, 4 rentals, I would sit up late at night going, I don't know if this is going to work. And what I had to hold on to is there's a book by Gary Keller. It's blue and white. I think it's called Real Estate Millionaire. In the back of that book, there's like 28 pages of, it's like gray or something, of real estate investors. He gave each investor that one. Yeah. The one that Ty held up in the back. Everybody got a page and a half. I looked at those until I wore those pages out. Yeah. Right. Like that. Exactly. And I wore it out. So what I wanted to do was write something that's 10, 11 pages about 15 different stories. So my hope is you read this, you take a selfie, you send it to me, and then you tell me which story spoke to you. This book should, different chapters should, without question, speak to different people. Wholesalers, flippers, Burr, out of state. It's all in here. And I am actually pretty proud of this. So it's available now in soft copy, hard copy, and Kindle.
Love it. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for all that you do. We are going to, if you go and buy the book, go to Amazon, buy the new book, take a screenshot of it, of your order, and then send it to either myself or to Adrian or to Michael. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do something special for all of you. And we're kind of figuring out some kind of bonus call, something special. Obviously, Michael's very generous with his time. Honestly, everybody should just go buy the book anyway, right? And buy the course, right? Just go buy it, right? So again, Michael, thank you for all that you do. Adrian, any last closing thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you, Michael. You're such a gift to this community, brother. Thank you so much. And you guys go leave a 5-star review.
Yes.
Go help out Michael. He's helped us out a lot. Make sure you are subscribed to his YouTube channel. When you see his videos, like it, comment on it. That's a way that we can contribute and give back. So let's do that. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Michael, thank you so much. Guys, we'll be in touch. Crush the rest of the week. Let's go.
Let's go.